Greetings and welcome to another Warhammer 40,000 kill team video. Today I'm going over kill teams that need buffs based on the quarter 3 stats for the next balanced data slate. But before we get into things, please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of the video and the stat and the changes. Have I not done enough? Have I done too much? Or is there anyone I missed out? And if you want, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below, as well as a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. But yeah, this is something I've been wanting to do, and I've been waiting for stats to come out because, like, I already have a feeling which kill teams need help, but I think it's better if I have proven evidence to work off of, because otherwise it just has me shouting out random opinions based off of feelings, which can be wrong. And the stats, which I do monthly thanks to Outsource Teddy, help, counteract that. So instead of just doing nerfs, like Glass Half Dead has done a nice video on kill teams that need to be buffed and nerfed, I thought both subjects are quite deep. I prefer to separate them out. And instead of starting off with what kill teams need to be nerfed, which is quite contentious, I think it's better to start with what kill teams need to be buffed, because I think that's something generally people agree on more. And, well, there's a lot of kill teams that are underperforming at the moment, more so than kill teams that are overpowered, I would say. And, just because I'm doing the buffs first doesn't mean I don't think there are nerfs. And I think if you're part of the mindset where you think we should only buff and only nerf, it's horrible. Like, it's proven horrible. I think they both just deserve their own videos, and I'd rather have one focused on buffing and one on nerfing. So yeah, today I'm going over the kill teams that need to be buffed based off of the quarter 3 stats for this year. So the underperforming kill teams based on the stats for quarter 3. So we are using GT plus adjusted results. So these are results for tournaments with 4 or more rounds with 16 or more players. Because basically this is pretty much what the data we think Games Workshop will look at more so than overall win rate. Because even in the overall win rate is pretty close. The only thing you would drop from this list are Commandos and Kasrkin. So who are the kill teams as per this data which needs buffs? So these are kill teams with less than a 45% win rate. And actually, Commandos are on 43% for quarter 3, whereas Kasrkin and everyone else are 40% or below. So Kasrkin are 40 with GT+, and then Starstriders, Phobos Strike Team, Farstalker Buffs, and then Hierotek Circle are all a lot lower. And actually, Hierotek Circle isn't even 28%, right? Because what we found out after the stats went live is someone basically said most of the Hierotek Circle wins were from team events where they lost but their team won, so BCP counted it as a win, which actually means their win rate isn't 28%. It's more like 10%, 5%, or something even worse, like 3%. Like, Hierotek Circle are doing horribly. Like, it's really bad. But these are the kill teams that need buffs, so I'll go through each individually. So first we have Commandos. I actually think Commandos is still solid, but they've actually taken a lot of buffs, a lot of nerfs, as time has gone by. So first they had the dynamite change, and they've had some other changes as well in terms of just themselves and how the game has changed. Like, basically, if Orcs came out today, they would have been 5 attack space, because they've shown like combat specialists would have been 5, and Orcs are known for their attacks, so everyone has 4 attacks, right? And they're a real mixed team where they're actually not great at shooting and not great at combat. They're just an all-round team, but they're hard countered by a lot of top teams, namely Intercession. So the changes I would make I consider small ones. So I would allow you to take a Grot and Bomb Squig instead of taking a normal boy. And my thing around this is the Grot has kind of lost a lot of relevance because of the matchups, and I think just taking the squig as well is fine. Now, you may argue you would now never take a normal boy, but I still think you would take boys in situations. But the thing about the bomb squig is no one really takes it unless it's into the dark, and just having the squig around is fine because it'll make you a 12 operative kill team. But remember, the bomb squig can only ever be on engage, and it's really hard to hide, because even if you can see its antennae, you can shoot it and blow it up. So it's not like the bomb squig is easy to use. So I think this would be fine. I would make War free once per game as long as the knob is alive. I thought about just making it constantly free, But it fits in with how the orcs work on the tabletop. They can call a war once per game. So why not make it just 3 once per game as long as the knob is alive? It's thematic. It gives them a slight edge in combat that they need because generally commandos don't have the command points to spend on war, or if they do, it's costly over something else. So it's just a nice little buff. And I would make the knob 5 attacks instead of 4 because, well, if you can't make the whole kill team 5 attacks, at least make the knob 5 attacks because the knob should be hitting with 5 attacks, right? Knobs always have more attacks than boys, so this just makes sense to me. It makes the power claw slightly better, as well as making the chopper even better as well. So it just gives them a nice melee threat if they push forward with their leader, which makes sense because knobs want to prove they're the biggest and the best. So I think these changes would be enough to just slightly elevate commandos without breaking them. I think this would be a nice change for them. Now we get to Kasrkin. So Kasrkin are in a really tough spot. They're not actually doing too badly. Like, they're really good at killing elites, but they struggle against anything else bigger. And their biggest problem is Games Workshop has accidentally written themselves into a corner because of elite points. I strongly feel they were originally scions, but with bespoke rules, but you can't give them BS3 and elite points. It basically means they would hit on every attack and they just become the most efficient point and click kill team in the game. So my change would be either you make them all +1 wounds, so they're 8 wounds base and 9 wounds for the leader, or you give them all BS3, but you move elite points from affecting attack dice because it's too strong. Or you make it something like elite points can only be used to alter ballistic skill once per turning point, because it's really too strong with BS3 plus. You would basically on average be getting 4 hits every time. And if you're either getting 4 hits with elite points or getting multiple crits with 4 hits because of elite points. So like Kasrkin are really hard to buff because Games Workshop have written themselves into a corner. Next, I would change elite points so they can only be spent during an activation to do either a free mission action, a dash, or something else for 2 equipment points. So for example, you can go, oh, I need to get there. I'm going to spend 2 equipment points instead of giving 2 elite points instead of giving myself an APL so I can move and dash and then shoot, or something like I'll move, pop the point, shoot, stuff like that. It makes them more elite and better at what they do, and basically makes elite points more interesting. So I think that would be great. And then I would just give the demo trooper free grenades. Like, I think he should have come with grenades anyway. It's really weird he doesn't. I know some Kasrkin players like not giving him grenades so they can give them to their normal guys so they can boost crack grenades and stuff on normal guys. But like, give the demo trooper something, right? He literally pops he plants his mine and then just literally goes, well, I've only got a pistol, and then he just runs around going, I'm fat man, laugh and grow fat. So I think these buffs would be enough for now, but it's like the problem is Games Workshop needs to decide what they want to do with elite points, because I think if they do the danger move and just give them elite points and BS free, or let them use elite points multiple times during their attacks, I think it would break the kill team, because they would just point and click stuff, like point, click and delete. Like it's modifying dice to always be successes with points has always been proven to be a broken thing in Games Workshop. All of their rule system, 40k, Sigma, it's always been a problem, and it's a shame. Like, it's even been broken with novitiates. So it's a shame it keeps coming back, because it's always a bad mechanic. But that's for Kasrkin. Then for Elucidity and Starstriders. So I actually find them really hard to buff. I'm not sure what you can do to buff them because they are severely limited by the miniatures they come with. And like, there's only so much you can do. So when I was talking to friends, like one of them said, like, make the privateer support asset benefit from lethal proximity. So if the airstrike occurs within red of a friendly operative, you get a reroll. And I think that's fine. I think that would be enough, like, because you're basically throwing away a guy to get within range to get better accuracy. I think that'd be fine. And another change I thought is that the Candid doesn't count towards enemy tac ops or objectives for being killed, kind of like the bugs for the Galapox infected, because the Candid is still really good, so it counts for your tac ops, but not for your opponent. So you can be really aggressive with this guy, but your opponent won't get anything from killing him. Because for now, they can get so much for killing him, it's just like kind of, you keep him back just because so he doesn't give anything away. And I think these changes would be enough. I've seen people say like the road to cannon should get relentless. Maybe, I don't know. I honestly am struggling to think how to buff Elucidity and Starstriders without breaking them. and to fit within the constraints of the models they come with. But that's what I have, and I'd be interested to hear what you guys have for your own ideas for buffs for the Starstriders. Now, Phobos Strike Team. This is one I've been saying for ages in the tier lists, but I would make Terror an always active aura for Reavers. Don't even make it free, just make it always active, because Reavers just need it, and I think it would be fine. I would also give them a new ability so they can do this. So during the first mission action, during an activation for friendly operatives, they get -1 AP to that mission action to a minimum of 0. So they can't pick and choose. It has to be the first mission action they can do, but it makes this team much better at doing tac ops and mission actions. So it makes them better at being the sneaky Space Marines, because they can move up, claim a point, and then do something else. Or they can move, claim a point, shoot, and then switch back to conceal, stuff like that. It gives them a lot of flexibility while being narratively thematic and strong. So I think that would be great. And then I would add balance to their balanced data slate ploy. So you know their terrible meme ploy where if they stand still, they get piercing 1? Give them balanced as well. Because if you get balanced, that gives them the trade-off of going, okay, I'm turning into a sentry to stand still and double, like, shoot with AP1 or P1 or whatever it does. But at least they get a reroll baked into it to give them some benefit from just turning into a stationary turret. And I think with these changes, the kill team would be a lot better. They really need all of this. Now for the Farstalker kin band. Now, despite what people think I think of them, I think they're a solid kill team. I just feel they're really bland. But I think they definitely need an extra recruit warrior. At the moment, you can only take 11, and the kit comes with 12. Kinda makes sense just to give them an extra recruit warrior. I would also remove the attack cap on their attack ploy and make it free. So personally, if you don't make it free, I would make everyone 4 attacks base, but I understand it's probably difficult to make everyone 4 attacks base. So just remove the attack cap on the ploy. It means the Recruit Hounds can go to 5 attacks, and one of your only melee specialists with 4 attacks goes to 5 attacks. And it just making it free is nice, because it's what these guys need, right? Because they're basically supposed to be the melee shock troops for Tau and melee guys in general. And now the leader's mark target ability, where basically he picks someone in range and that he can see, and he gets to auto hit for the kill team. I would make this not need line of sight. Either it just doesn't flat need line of sight, or it can be from any operative that you can draw line of sight from. Because it's such a good ability, but it's so hamstrung. And like the biggest problem you have with Into the Dark is they basically don't function. So it would allow them to work in Into the Dark and just make them better overall. Like that would help them so much. And also make meat 2 equipment points, because it's kind of rubbish at 3. And I think being at 2 would be fine. Like just give them all that, and I think they'd be really, really strong. Like they just only need a little bit of help. And I think this would be enough. Now we have Hierotek Circle. So they need the most work personally, because they're a mess. And now I'm severely worried about them from the stats. So the one thing I thought of immediately when I first saw them, each plasma site can be swapped for an immortal or death mark. Because the biggest problem with this kill team, I've heard people say like they should just be able to take an extra immortal, or they should take extra miniatures. And the problem is, because they're a box team, they're not like a White Dwarf team. They have to come as a legal team from the box, because if we go like, oh, by the way, they get an extra immortal, where? You're going to have to buy a box for 1 immortal. That's not going to work. So allowing them to swap each plasma site for an immortal or death mark basically would let you take up to 7. And like 7 immortals or death marks. And I think that would be good, because I basically wouldn't take the reanimator plasma site, and I probably would drop the +1 APL plasma site depending on the mission. Now, the even bigger change is I would change reanimation protocols to happen before healing, like they do in the compendium. So you res with D3 wounds and then heal 2, and make it always active. So it always triggers whenever someone dies. So you don't have to spend action points or CP to do it. And then I would buff the ploys and abilities that trigger reanimation protocol during the turning point to let you res mid-turning point. So for example, you can use the plasma site reanimator to reanimate during the turning point or spend a CP, or use the cryptech reanimator the technomancer to reanimate mid-turning point. it makes those abilities more useful, and you'd probably actually, depending if like your opponent's last activation was to kill someone, I'd probably spend a CP to immediately res them, so they come back with D3 wounds, and then they heal with 2 wounds. Like, it would just be very useful. Also, Cryptex and Apprentex, make them ballistic skill 3+. Like, they should never have been BS4+. Like, the reason I don't take an Apprentex is because they're BS4+. They're absolutely useless. Like, the weirdest thing, there was some guy trying to justify why they were BS4, because he was saying, like, they're too strong with the reroll ability. I'm like, it's not, because both have to be an engage, and if they sit there for a turning point, even if they charge into combat to let someone else shoot through them, they're still in a risky position. And it fits the lore right, because Cryptex in the Codex hit on 3s. So it doesn't make sense that they hit on 4s. Make them hit on 3s. And then I would let Cryptex and Apprentex know all abilities from their respective archetypes. So instead of going, your Cryptek can only select 2, and your Apprentex only knows what your Cryptek knows, just like your Cryptek know everything, so your Apprentex can do everything as well. Just because it makes it easier for the roster, because like on my Necron roster for Hierotek, I have like 4 Cryptex who are the same. It's just the same model, but with different alterations of weapons and lore, like lore skills, because it's just like, you can only pick 2. It's really weird. And then I would make the Despotech ability 0 AP or just an always active aura. Because it, like, your other option is to make the Despotech 3 APL, but just changing his ability to be always active or 0 AP is just fine. Like, all it does is give a CP reroll to someone, and just making that free helps the team so much. Now, this is the team who needs that most help, and like the most extensive help. So I would be shocked if most of this made this, or any of it made it. But I think Hierotek definitely need all of these changes to be a viable kill team. Because at the moment, their biggest problem is they're effectively 6 Necrons with 2 plasma sites, and they get outclassed by all elite teams. They have like the lowest APL of any elite team, and they just suck at doing everything. They can shoot okay. Their melee presence relies completely on their immortals. Like, it's so bizarre. The Cryptex are like, they live and die off of their skills. They're horrible shots unless they're on Into the Dark with lethal 5 up on their blast. It's really, really weird. Just making them all free up just helps, and like all these changes would make me play Hierotek. Like, I have a Hierotek roster and I just can't play them because they're so bad. So yeah, for the overview for the kill team buffs, like, I've tried to keep stuff sensible in terms of stuff GW would probably do. Like, the things I would be very unoptimistic of things happening would be mass errata changes to multiple fighters, like multiple operatives. I don't think that would happen because, like, it's really hard to justify, like, internally doing all those erratas and changing so much. Like, you're more likely to see like changes to rules and stuff instead of changing physical stats on operatives. But I still think like all of them need these changes, especially Hierotek. Like, I cannot stress how much Hierotek need those buffs. Like, after hearing how their stats were wrong, and they have actually probably lower win rates than some compendium teams, it's really bad. Like, oh my gosh, didn't realize they were that bad. Like, but I've tried to see things like, I think Kasrkin are really hard to buff because they've been written into a corner with elite points. And then Commandos, I think they just need a slight buff. Like, Commandos showing their age. I did not mention Vet Guard. Vet Guard are still actually performing well in quarter 3 for GT Plus results. And I think I would actually nerf one of their things, basically the Spar, which I always mention. But generally they're fine. I think the thing about Vet Guard is basically people just don't want to play them anymore, because when you run into them now, they've still been winning tournaments. It's like you've just got good players playing them, and they're still a really solid kill team. Like, whereas the Commandos are just like, Commandos have a lot of bad matchups and they are actually showing their age. Whereas like, I think Elucidity and Starstriders are still really hard to buff, just because you're limited by what miniatures they come with. And then Crew, I think they just need a slight buff. I feel like they could be very easy to break as well, but like, Crew needs some help as well. I would actually play them with those changes, maybe even main them, because they're quite fun with those changes. But I really love, I like Phobos as well. Phobos need all those changes. So that's why I focused on the buffs first, because I think there's a lot of kill teams that need buffs. But that's pretty much it for me for today. Please remember to like and subscribe as well as comment. Let me know what you thought of the video of the buffs. Did I go too far? Did I not go far enough? Did I miss any teams, excluding the stats? Let me know below. And remember, I've got a Discord you can check out in the episode description below, as well as a Patreon if you want to give me some more support. So I'll quickly shout out to my patrons. So for my adepts of the crit, I have Samari, Sam, NinjaLee83, John Thomas, Captain Murder, Dave, Daniel, Average Doe 27, and Adzik. And then for my veterans of the crit, I have Samja. So thank you so much for all your support. It really means a lot to me and helps support the channel. But that's pretty much it for me today. Packed week. This is my second video of 4. You can tell my voice is weird. Like, I'm feeling better, but my voice is just gone. Like, here's the weird thing about COVID. It's completely messed me up. And it's like, this is technically the 3rd time I've had it and the 2nd time I've had it this year. So annoying. Like, I would be generally worried if I wasn't vaccinated, because I think I would have been in hospital. But I'm better now. Like, as I said, I've got the reviews on the weekend. And then next week, I've got the Warhammer World Tournament, which is going to be tough because I need to figure out how I'm going to get there because there's going to be no trains. But it should be fun. You know, a nice way to close out the year. I need to record some bat reps as well because I painted up a lot of kill teams. It should be fun. And also I need to do the second part of this video where I'll go over kill teams that need to be nerfed, which is probably going to make people very angry. So until next time, no matter what buffs or nerfs happen to your kill team, remember there's always hope as long as you can roll a crit.